Hello, my students. How are you? My dear, I have made another worksheet on the topic atomic structure, which is from chapter number 6. And today I want to give you a tip. The tip to get good marks in your exams. Look, as you had been solving these worksheets, one thing is very obvious and which must be observed by all of you, that whenever a teacher makes some questionnaire or some MCQ, the teacher picks up the statements from the text, means your textbook. So it is the smartness of a student who learns and short lines or marks the important statements or important facts or important observations which can be the questions in the exams. So let us begin this discussion, which is roaming around the topic atomic structure. The atomic structure is explained well enough with the help of different scientist model and using the atomic number, the mass number, the nucleon number, and their structures and their positions and their properties. Now we are going to apply all of them in the single worksheet. So let us begin with the name of God. The first MCQ is, in the periodic table, how many periods include the elements of the atomic number 1 to 18? You know, periodic table is the tabular arrangement of all the elements in which the naturally occurring elements and artificial elements are all listed in a form of table. And this table is designed or made on the basis of increasing atomic number, leaving behind no gap among the elements. So every time we see there are horizontal rows in the periodic table, which are called as periods. And the period number tells us that how many shells of electrons are there. So first you have to see the first shell, K, can accommodate only 2 electrons. Means 2 elements with having electronic configuration in the first shell. Then the L shell comes, the second shell, which can accommodate or which can fill 8 electrons, means 8 elements, one by one. And the third shell is M. Now M can have 18 electrons, means the first period of the periodic table is having only 2 elements in it. The second period is having up to 8 proton number. Then 18 elements must be plotted in the third row of the periodic table, means the third period of the periodic table. The next is, which atom has the same electronic configuration as strontium ion? You know, strontium ion, strontium belongs to group 2A, group 2. And strontium has only 2 electrons in its valence shell. Now what happens when group 2 elements are reacting? They go in their ionic state. Whenever some atom, or for example strontium, loses 2 electrons, it gets positive 2 ion charge on it. Means the elements are trying to achieve the configuration of a noble gas just above them. So you see, out of the 4 options, which element is a noble gas? And why noble gas? Because the noble gases have complete electronic shells and mostly they have 8 electrons. So having 8 electrons is a sign of stability, and it's a octet rule also. So only noble gases are those ideal and most stable configuration to which any other element tries to achieve. So maybe krypton. Okay, which substance has a giant molecular structure? Obviously, sand. You have to go in detail by reading the textbook. Which material has the highest melting point? You know, the melting points are due to strongest forces of attraction among the ions together. And out of these four options, only option C is an ionic compound which has oppositely charged sodium ions tightly packed or surrounded by chloride ions. So as the force of attraction is very strong, so it needs high energy or high temperature to break these forces to keep them apart. Now the next one is the noble gases have option A, 8 electron in the valence shell, B, 1 electron in the valence shell, C, 2 electrons in the valence shell, and D is 0 electrons in the valence shell. So if it is not possible, it can't exist. 0 electrons in the valence shell means there's nothing in the atom. What about having 8 electrons? I just used this hint before that having 8 electrons means following octet rule is the sign of stability which all the elements try to achieve. Now we come on the theory section in which we have to be a bit explained or elaborative. What is an atom? The very shorthand and precise answer to describe this question is the atom is the smallest tiny indivisible particle of matter. And who said this? John Dalton stated this in his atomic theory. The next part is why the atom is called as the fundamental particle of matter. Because all the matter, all the properties, all the chemistry, chemical properties and physical properties are due to atom. That is why whenever some substance undergoes some chemical change or physical change, it's only due to atom. So that is why it is understood that it is a single unit of matter which behaves. What are atoms made up of? Now, this is the latest research about the atom, that atom is defined as a sphere, as a particle, indivisible, but it is still made up of furthermore smaller particles like electrons, protons and neutrons, and these particles are making up the atom and are the reason for all of its properties. That's why they are called as subatomic particles. Now the next part is what is nucleon number. You know, when we study the structure of the atom, the central part of the atom is called as nucleus, and the number of particles present in the nucleus is called as nucleon number. Now the question arises, do you know about the particles present in the nucleus? Yes, they are protons and neutrons. So the number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus is called as the number of nucleon. Do you remember? Mass number A. How it is calculated? Again, if you know the number of protons and neutrons, you can simply calculate it. Now the next part is the structure of diamond and silicon are shown here. Okay, just see the structure deeply. This is something like this, and another time I'm having the similar structure, means they are tetrahedral. So you see every single atom is bonded to 4 atoms like 1, 2, 3 and 4, and here This atom is again bonded to 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you see, in this picture we are learning the comparison. We are learning that both of the structures are tetrahedral and both seem to be the giant structure having same angular distance 109 degrees. And the difference is that in diamond all of the atoms are carbon atoms, but in silicon dioxide two different elements are making up this compound. This is sand, silicon and oxygen. And next part is that why silicon dioxide has a high melting point. Again, the giant structure is responsible for its very high unexpected melting point, because in a giant structure the number of bonds are many times, are multiplied. So more energy, high energy or high temperature is required to break those bonds between the molecules. So that's why they are melted at very high degrees, high temperatures. Then next is silicon dioxide reacts with hot concentrated sodium hydroxide to form sodium silicate. Now everything is given in this statement. You see the reacting substances are silicon dioxide and sodium hydroxide to form sodium silicate. So you have to sum them up. Reactants, arrow, then products. Only the art is to draw their chemical formulae. And the next is deduce the formula of silicate ion. Now how you can write this formula? Like using the crisscross formula, you can deduce or predict the formula of the silicate ion. As you can see, there are two sodium atoms. Each sodium atoms contribute positive 1 charge. So if there are two atoms, means there must be positive 2 sign on both of the sodium atoms. And the silicate must be balancing it by -2. So the formula of the silicate ion is SiO3 -2. Class, this is not everything, but I have tried to sum up all the basic things, all the important points which can be frequently questioned in your exams, maybe in the form of MCQs or maybe in the form of short questions or somewhere in your reasonings or calculations. So my request is again the same. You go through the textbook thoroughly, very thoroughly. Just check out the exercise questions there at the chapter back. Then you apply your knowledge on this worksheet. Otherwise you will be in trouble. And believe me, I am always very much welcoming for your questions related to this worksheet or maybe from anywhere in your text. So do respond me. Nobody of you passes on the comments on the channel, YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed it, please subscribe it so that you will be enjoying all of the videos are there, and you can clear your understanding from any of the video. So do subscribe it, watch the videos before solving it, and when you solve it, then confirm your answers from the text or from the topicals one. So I will be very welcoming for your questions and you just solve it. Meanwhile, I prepare another worksheet for you and I'll pass it on whenever I upload it. Thank you, class. God bless you and take